This week from GNC Week in Review, powered by GeekNewsCentral.com. Gmail goes down, Google Max goes away, and HBO Max arrives on Roku. Yay! Those are some of the tech news stories from this week, and it's Friday, December 18th, 2020. My name is Kirk Corliss.
And I'm Scott Ertz.
And this is episode 79, the last episode of 2020 of the GNC Week in Review podcast, proud partner of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. Thank you so much for tuning in for this week's episode. We are streaming live at gncweekly.com/live, as well as Facebook Live. So please be sure to say hello and chat or comment. Also, be sure to subscribe, like and subscribe to the GNC WIR channel on YouTube. If you missed the live video, that's okay. You can always catch the replay later. If you are a listener, please be sure to subscribe to podcasts where you can find on the right-hand side column at gncweekly.com, be it Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app. Also, the podcast can be found on the Pandora app and the iHeartRadio app. Yay. If you have a comment, be it on social media or email, and that all those links can be found at gncweekly.com/connect. It's a little bit of a light tech news this week. Obviously, a lot of news doesn't really happen until the end of the year, or I'm sorry, beginning of next year, of 2021. CES 2021 is coming up.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff going on.
A lot of companies are in dark mode right now because they don't want to. They don't want to give anything away for their CES presentations. And I know you have gotten emails as have I, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. So it's a little bit light, but we're going to get into the tech news in a few moments. But we talked about over the past week or two about you need help with your tech, or in this case, spring cleaning your tech. So we have a lot of myself, Scott, and Plug It's Live, and has incorporated a lot of great stuff on how to clean up your tech, ranging from your batteries and get rid of unwanted subscription services and cleaning out your computer. So there's a lot of great stuff that is on that I will put on our site. It's be gncweekly.com/prepare for 2021. There was a lot of great stuff that I included, Scott included, producers for Plug It's Live, and some other folks. Some of our partners over at Plug It's Live are with the Drew Project. You know, one of our partners there helped. Terry Willingham from the Foundation for Community Driven Innovation, who put together the Amrock Fab Lab, which if you follow us at Plug It's Live stuff, you see us work with FCDI a lot because that's who put on Roboticon, for example. Terry had some input into it, so it was a really fun piece to put together. I was not expecting it to end up being 1,300 words, but it was.
Right.
So here we are.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good, and I think maybe, I think going forward, I think there's a good idea to have. So if anyone has any suggestions or ways they can, spring clean your tech, let us know, gncweekly.com/connect, email, Twitter, DM us. I'm at Kirk Corliss, Scott's at TTTMABO. So we'll include them all on the gncweekly.com/prepare for 2021. We'll leave it up for about the whole month of January. So if you have any ideas, definitely would love to hear from them. And I'm definitely going to use some of the things that I saw on there, including the one I have about,
So it's actually interesting because Sarah from the Drew Project, I sent her. She's listed by her company on here, Code Marketing, who helps us with a lot of our marketing. So I sent her a preview of where it was when she was giving me her quote, and yours was already in there, and she goes, "Oh yeah, I'm a big fan of Unroll Me."
I've been using that. I have an app for Apple. I have CleanFox, so Android for CleanFox, so. It's helpful. Believe me, it helps. It helps tremendously, and it doesn't take too long. And But yeah, that and the other Unroll.me, I did some research on that, and a lot of people have used that happily and religiously.
Yeah. And some of these things, obviously the battery thing is a big thing to me. Because I've had a device explode. Luckily, I didn't have a fire because of it, but I did have a battery explode on me. And when I was at Radio Shack, I had it several times while I was opening something up. Luckily, no fires, but it is possible. And my mother is notorious for putting Christmas decorations away with AA's or AAA's in them, and then opening them up the next year and us having to get tweezers and throw the battery away without getting battery acid on our hand, and then getting out a cleaning kit and cleaning off all the contacts, and something that should be a 30-second thing turns into 10 plus minutes. So that's obviously a big thing for me. But right. I didn't know about the Unroll Me service. I hadn't thought about unsubscribing from subscription services. Like Dave pointed out, what a great, maybe you don't use Hulu anymore.
Right. Well, it's not just really the subscription services, but also like with email, like, when you go, because I had Best Buy, and you go to a restaurant and they say, give us your email address. We'll send you offers and coupons, what have you. And you get into, this is no joke. I have, exception to Best Buy, because I use that frequently. I have Dunkin' Donuts, Pizza Hut. There's like a lot of restaurants that my wife and I go to, or we take our daughter to go to, and you get coupons for like a Texas Roadhouse, what have you. So my inbox has been flooded, and I mean flooded. And it's kind of get rid of the noise. And I haven't been to these restaurants for months since the pandemic. Basically, we haven't gone out to dinner. We've been usually going out and takeout. So I'm looking at my phone and my computer, and I'm looking at all these emails, and I'm like, and it takes a pain in the butt to delete all of them, or what have you. So with that app, with the CleanFox app, it's within minutes, and it's like your email is lessened dramatically.
That's so great.
I love it. It's a great tool to have. Great tool.
I like the idea with the Unroll Me, that the ones that you want to keep, it will create a daily roll up and send you just one email with all of them in it.
Right.
That's a cool feat. I don't know if CleanFox has that, but that was one of the things that Sarah was like, this is the reason why I use it. Because even the one that I do want, I get a single roll-up email instead of dozens of individual ones, which I thought was pretty clever.
I'm not sure. I have to look at it because I had it for a while, and it notifies on do you want this or keep it or something like that. So I have to see. It may have the same feature. I have to look and see.
Yeah. It's a cool idea.
It is.
I went the hard way, and I have an email address specifically for what I suspect will be junk mail. But
I have one too for I have an AOL one, and PS when we're discussing.
I'm sorry. Did we just time travel?
I have an. I'm not gonna. I'll tell it to you off air what the name it is. But when I also, before we got on the air, I sent Scott a gift card, and if you see it's an AOL email address, and I'll tell you what it is after we get off the air. Don't put it as spam. It came from me. It is Amazon. It's legit, but it's an AOL email address. I haven't changed it to my Gmail account for like the past several years, so I have to probably do that after the show. I'll make sure I change my email. But but yeah, I have an AOL email address just in case, if someone wants to send me something by email, like free stuff, what have you. So I give my AOL email address. I have several email addresses besides, Geek News Central, but I also have a Gmail account. And also our Gmail for this podcast. So, but yeah, for anything that I get for put on an email list, contact me with deals, what have you, I get my email address. And I don't see them until I actually go into my email AOL, because sometimes some emails I get is caught spam, and I have to go in and look. But yeah, but wait to tell you what the email address is. You're gonna find that hilarious. But yeah, it's yeah, I had that since literally like for the past 20 years. I've had that AOL Windows. I'm not giving it up because I like it.
So I decided to check my bulk email just because I never do, and I have one thing in there, and it's semi-legitimate. It's an actual press release.
Oh, jeez. Oh, goodness.
Well,
anyway. Well, again, like I said, don't, if you see one, I just sent it like before, about an hour ago from me. So like I said, it is from me. It's not spam. It's from me. It's an Amazon gift card. So, but I'll tell you about that. I'll tell you my email address, that I'm not going to tell the audience. I'm not putting it out here because
I don't blame you. We like you guys, but I don't trust you.
Right. That's why I'd rather prefer, if you're going to do a troll, if you're going to troll us, just do it, do it someplace else. Okay, don't troll us. We're good people. All right, cool. All right, let's jump in with the tech news from this week. First up, on Monday, this happened, which kind of was like, what the hell? On Monday, Google's authentication system went down for about an hour, taking down Gmail, YouTube, Google Maps, Google Docs, and other Google services. Google blamed the outage as a, quote, internal storage quota issue. How can it be an internal storage quota issue when they got boatloads of servers?
Well, they've got one 100 gigabyte SSD.
Oh, really?
No, of course not.
For a second, I believed you.
There's a $20 Black Friday special, and that's where they keep all their keys.
Oh my goodness! And it was so odd. I'm like on Monday, because usually, like on Monday morning, before I do I check my email, I look at YouTube. I'm doing the first thing in the morning to get my mind set.
Sure.
And I'm looking, and this happened like 2 weeks ago. Didn't YouTube went down 2 weeks ago? I think it was. Was it
something
2
like
weeks?
that,
yeah. Okay. So I'm looking, and I'm looking at the YouTube, and I'm like, a page it's not loading. Try again later. I'm like, oh, okay. Force closed it. Download the app again. Retry. And I'm like, what the H? And then I'm going my work Gmail. Nothing's happening. I'm like, oh wow, wait. So everything kind of cleared up, late in the morning.
Yeah.
But then the next day,
it's a tremendous amount of fun when it happens on a Monday, which is the day that I upload F5 Live to YouTube.
Right. I was like, that was crazy. And I'm checking my work email address, and I'm like, oh, because my work email address, I get hammered with work emails, and I'm like, so I was literally took me half the day on Monday catching up on all work email addresses. Work email was a pain in the butt
because you were getting the once it did come back, you were getting the delay.
Yeah,
the latency.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So then
it was the longest upload of my life.
How long did it take?
Oh, I don't know. I left. We scheduled the show. Pilch Point to publish at 5:30 and then F5 Live to publish at 6.
Mm-hmm.
I set both of them back an hour. Pilch Point actually did publish, and then I had to walk away because I had other things I had to do that night.
Right.
and by the time I got back to my back to the computer at like 9:30, it looked like it was just finishing.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, really. So to add more insult to injury,
you do make me want to go make sure that it did publish, because I did not 100% check. So I'm going to do that right now while we talk.
While he's doing that, so the thing that happened, everything was up and running. I think it was roughly around 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, roughly on Monday. Then on Tuesday, Gmail started having problems again, where their Google status dashboard described as a quote, significant subset of users seeing error message, high latency and or other unexpected behavior. Apparently, there was reports from TechCrunch said that emails were instantly bouncing. Rival email service Proton Mail even says some emails sent to Gmail have been, quote, permanently lost and will be sent again. The Gmail status dashboard says that any problems resolved on Tuesday just before 10 p.m. Eastern time, Tuesday just before 10 p.m. Eastern time. So what is going on with Google? I mean, this happened, like I said, this happened roughly 2 weeks ago, and it has happened this week. I mean, is it really like, are they really having problems with their servers, or is it they're not keeping up on their maintenance?
It's all very interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You wonder with the stuff that's come out this week about SolarWinds, if that's been involved anywhere in the process. You immediately have to start wondering.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of weeks apart, massive outages for a company like this. We know for sure that Microsoft was hit by it, and Microsoft has had a couple of outages over the last couple of weeks. Xbox Live was down for a while, which is probably because of the new console, but you can't rule out the possibility now that you know that they were involved in this hack. Mm-hmm. I would not be surprised if Google's involved in it somewhere too. So
I remember there was a story, I think Todd, I put it in Todd and with in the rundown on Monday. Yeah, on Monday. Was it Monday? No, it was Thursday that something happened with SolarWinds and there's hacks going on. So yeah. So that could be a conspiracy that it may be tied in.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're talking about with SolarWinds, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of corporations that have this software installed. Now, not all of them downloaded the bad update. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And not all of the ones that did were compromised, but just having a backdoor in your management suite is enough to potentially cause problems, even if it's not compromised. If that backdoor is even knocked on accidentally, it could bring a system to its knees. Mm-hmm. So good news, the episode was definitely published.
Hooray! All right.
And YouTube found 2 copyright infringements of ours. So,
oh no.
Well, at least thank you, YouTube, for finding them. They're from 2 and 3 years ago, but whatever.
Oh, jeez. The woes you're having with YouTube. Oh boy.
They're a mess.
Mm-hmm. And that's why we're not going to get taken down from YouTube because we're a tech podcast, and I think there's a lot of people, including us, that have slammed YouTube and besides us. So
just don't go cheering on the antitrust case. That might get you in trouble.
That wouldn't be smart. But there's also news about YouTube a little bit later.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you're gonna love this.
They're my favorite.
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of Google and YouTube, they have gone and they rid of the Google Home Max. This is their original large smart speaker meant to provide hi-fi audio. They have shared with Engadget that is no longer manufacturing the device, and it's sold out of the last few units on the Google Store. Existing users will still see support for the foreseeable future, and there are no plans to end support for this or the original Google Home. This launched in 2017 for $399, which I think is extremely pricey for a speaker. where it had a dual 4.5-inch high excursion woofers and 2 custom tweeters. Their most recent speaker is the Nest Audio. It's supposed to designed to provide high quality audio, even smaller bodies. The the Nest Audio has a dedicated 75mm woofer and 19mm tweeter, and comes with software designed to provide better sound with those components. Now, Google is trusting that, quote, existing Google Home Max users shouldn't worry, as they won't see a change in their service. We'll continue to offer software updates and security fixes to Google Home devices. We're committed to delivering great sound and whole home audio features across all of our assistant-enabled products. So Google loves to kill services, and there's a great site, killedbygoogle.com, and they have killed, I don't know if you've ever seen it, they've killed different services over the past several years. They also killed, I can't remember what the name of it was. It was reported today that they reported something about for smart home, Google something. Google.
Android. It's like Android embedded, but it's not called that.
Exactly. Yeah, it's Android things or something.
Yes. Android things.
Yeah, it was. They killed that too.
In fairness, it will not be a loss because nobody used it. They never got market buy-in on it. So that one wasn't a big deal.
Yeah. It's $300. Who would buy a speaker for $300 when you have other products like Alexa? There's Alexa devices.
Lots of people pay money for expensive speakers, including ones with smart capabilities built in. I mean, Klipsch has speakers for thousands, but here's the thing: they are a speaker company.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Klipsch does.
Mm-hmm.
Google is a search company,
right?
They're not a speaker company.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the Google Home Max sound quality is by far the best dedicated smart speaker on the market.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still Google branded. And so the idea of trying to justify $400 for a speaker to a company that doesn't make speakers is confusing.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the reason why the Google Home Max is being discontinued. It is the last product in the pre-Nest family on the market. And so this is the official end of the Google Home. And everybody is Nest now. This will be the future is Nest for this stuff for today.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have we seen the Google TV brand used?
Right.
Or
they changed their name to Android TV.
Well, so Google TV and Android TV were competitors.
Okay.
And then they discontinued Google TV in favor of Android TV. And then they released a Chromecast recently with something called Google TV on it, which is not a competitor. It is an app on top of.
He's one nuts. Yeah. Well, speaking of Chromecast.
but yeah, so that's what's happening. In reality, it's the Google Home brand, the Google Home family has officially been wrapped up. Everything going forward will be under the Nest brand, which is an established and trusted smart home brand, which is very different than putting Google's name on it. They tried to go the other way, right? They tried to put Google's name on the Nest thermostat and sales went down. They took the Google name off and sales went back up.
Why would they? Why wouldn't that be like, if you want to put your name out there, wouldn't that make sense to put Google name on it instead of just saying the Nest?
Calling it the Google Nest thermostat was different than calling it the Google thermostat or the Nest thermostat. Pairing the two brands worked.
Okay.
But just trying to call it Google didn't. So Nest is a trusted name in the space long before they're purchased by Google. And so they're trying to play on that. And I don't blame them.
Okay, that's fair.
It makes more sense.
It makes more sense. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Name recognition, but also name recognition is key.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know, and it is their product, and you know, so they want to put as much, you know, they want to put as much marketing pull and play out of it.
Yeah.
So that would make sense. Okay.
So some people don't know Nest and don't trust it. You know, the trust isn't built there. So they see the Google name, they're like, oh, I know that a product from Google will be supported. So that's a good sign. Right. It's not true.
Right.
But whatever. Because there's always Google Wave. And then on the other,
that was killed too.
Indeed. And then on the other side, it was one of our original running jokes on F5 Live before it was called that. And then on the other side, you've got people who know Nest and want to see that name. So putting both of them makes sense, and that's going to be the future.
Yep. All right, cool. Okay. Other news this week, Roku and Warner Media reached an agreement for its distribution of the HBO Max, on their Roku platform. And this has been 7 months after HBO Max launched. HBO Max is now live on Roku. Right now, it went effective yesterday. The deal gives the streaming service coverage on all major over-the-top platforms. In its absence, when it was not on Roku count,
including the PlayStation 5, which also launched.
Yep, that was announced. It was announced yesterday or the day before. I think it was announced the day before.
Something like that.
Okay. All right. Terms of the deal were not disclosed, but both sides claimed they were pleased with finally resolving their differences. Warner Media was looking to nail down HBO Max pact with Roku as service's last major distribution partner ahead of the December 25th day and date premiere, which I'm happy about because I definitely want to see this movie, Wonder Woman 1984. And under this deal, Roku users who have already subscribed to HBO through Roku will have the existing HBO app on the devices automatically updating to HBO Max app, and be able to log in using their existing HBO credentials.
Abram just discovered last week that he had HBO Max because of the upgrade. He didn't know he had a subscription. He's like, hooray, I don't have to pay anything extra for Wonder Woman.
Yep. And I just it's win-win. Scott Rosenberg, senior VP of Roku's platform business, said in a statement, quote, "We believe that all entertainment will be streamed, and we are thrilled to partner with HBO Max to bring their incredible library of iconic entertainment brands and blockbuster slate of direct-to-streaming theatrical releases to the Roku households. With more than 100 million people that have made Roku the #1 TV streaming platform in America." He also mentions, quote, "reaching mutually beneficial agreements where Roku grows together with our partners, how we deliver an exceptional user experience at an incredible value for consumers. And we are excited by the opportunity to deepen our long-standing relationship with the team at Warner Media." Alluding to the controversial Warner Brothers formerly strategy, Tony Goncalves, Chief Revenue Officer at Warner Media, said in a statement, quote, "We're breaking new ground months ahead, and we can't wait to work with our longtime partners at Roku to build on our past successes and bring HBO Max's best-in-class quality entertainment to Roku's large and highly engaged audience." So that's good news all around. And the controversy about Warner Brothers has been talked about for the past several weeks. And I know you guys were talking about it last Sunday. This battle's not going to stop. I mean, it's great it's on Roku, but this battle with Warner Media and the strategy
and the theaters, it's going to be a mess for a while. But this is good for a lot of people because a lot of people have Roku TVs. Whether they use it or not is a different topic, but a lot of people have Roku as their smart TV platform. So much so that it's almost hard to find a TV on the market that's not Roku powered, for example.
As you're watching a live video right now.
Yeah.
He's pointing to
the one that's here in my studio is Roku powered. The replacement TV is a Roku TV. We don't use it. This is what it's used for, this in Avram. But yeah, I mean, even this thing is Roku powered because it was the only 32-inch 1080p television on the market. Was a Roku powered TV. So I mean, it's lots of people have it, whether they use it or not, it's a different topic, but lots of people have it. And this is going to give exposure to HBO Max for a lot of people, whether it's built into your TV or you have a standalone streaming device like I actually have in my living room. It's funny to have to own a Roku TV and not use it and have an over-the-top Roku device that I do use. It's very strange, but I didn't want to buy an Apple TV, and Apple gave me a year of Apple TV Plus for free. Roku was the way to go. $35 or $250. I wonder.
Well, you got a lot of years, so I wouldn't be too surprised.
Which is the better choice?
Yeah.
And that, that plays into it a lot, right? Because even if you don't have a smart TV,
right,
for I think for as low as $30, and on Black Friday, I think you could get one for 19. You can get a Roku over the top. That's not just like a stick. That's like a proper thing. It's hard to ignore that. And that's the reason why they're the number one TV streaming platform in America.
And I knew of different devices. I didn't again in the beginning. I didn't know that Roku was that popular. And again, if it was me, with my wife and my family notwithstanding, but if it was me, I would just get rid of the cable because we have Fios TV and internet. But if it was me, I would be like, screw it. I'm getting a Roku, and I already have. I got HBO already. I have Amazon, I have Netflix, I have Hulu. What else? Is that it? Yeah, I think that's it. I'm thinking missing. But anyway, if it was me, I would throw all that on there, and I'll be a happy puppy. Exactly. And I would. And it would save me. It would save me a tremendous amount of money. And that's another thing I should have added for Clean Up Your Tech. No, actually Dave put that in, but saving money, because a lot of the streaming services now, are the ad free, with ads, with Peacock and everything. I highly recommend, if you're saving money for 2021, different tangent, I know, but screw it. Use Hulu. A lot of the services offer, cheap plans. Definitely go with that. And then when things improve, jump back onto, the no ads, what have you. So
sure. And look at bundles, right? Because if you're one of the things that Avram's been talking about forever, and you've mentioned, I think, a couple of times, is using Amazon Prime channels. And being able to subscribe sometimes less than retail to other services. And then you've got the Hulu bundle, right? The new one that just launched. That's who I keep wanting to call it Hulu Plus. It hasn't been that in years.
No, that's right.
And how old are you? Because there hasn't been a free version of Hulu for years. So the Hulu without ads,
right,
is now in a bundle with Disney Plus and ESPN Plus.
ESPN, yep.
And that's another great deal. So
it is.
Look for those deals. Look for ways to do that. And Hulu offers something similar to the Amazon channels as well. So you can add additional things on that way. It's there are bundles. There are ways to save money. Yeah,
there is definitely, especially with Amazon. And you're right. Yeah, and also too it's less than also with CBS All Access. No, excuse me, Paramount Plus.
It's not there yet.
No. But it's coming now. But I'm just I still shudder at that name. I
The
shit
ads
on that
currently
name.
still say CBS All Access. So
Right. Right.
they showed me one today. Like, you are
I-
barking up the wrong tree, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely check it. Definitely check that out. It's really good. Nothing wrong with shopping around, but also saving. If you want to save money in 2021, that'll be the best bet. All right, next up, the Federal Trade Commission announced on Monday it is requiring 9 tech companies to share information about how they collect and use data from their users. Amazon, TikTok owner ByteDance, Discord, Facebook, and its subsidiary WhatsApp, Reddit, Snap, Twitter, and Google's own YouTube were each sent orders to hand over information about their data practices. The companies have 45 days to respond from the date they receive their orders. Along with details about how the services collect and use data, the agency is seeking information about how they determine which ads to show their users, whether algorithms or data analytics are used on personal information, how they, quote, measure, promote, and research engagement from users, and how their data practices impact children and teens. The FCC is using authority under Section 6B of the FTC Act, which allows it to pursue broad studies separate from law enforcement. The agency launched a separate 6B study earlier this year, to examine past acquisitions by Google parent Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Microsoft that would not have been subject to pre-reporting rules for mergers. Chairman Joe Simon said at the time that while a 6B study is not connected to enforcement action, the merger review could, quote, definitely inform enforcement. There's a lot in here to dissect, and there's a few companies had a statement. Twitter says in a statement, quote, "We're working as we always do to ensure the FTC has the information it needs to understand how Twitter operates its services." Discord says in the statement, Discord takes user privacy very seriously, and we look forward to working with the FTC to answer their questions about our privacy practices. Importantly, there are no ads on Discord. We make no money from advertising, selling user data to advertisers, sharing users' personal information with others. Instead, the company generates revenue directly from users through a paid subscription called Nitro. Reddit said in a statement, "We are looking forward to working with the FTC and sharing with them our user privacy policy and practices." The other companies that were named in the order did not immediately respond to the CNBC story that did not respond to requests for comment. So my whole take on this is that I'm not really thrilled with government getting involved in people's business. In this instance,
especially when they're specifically asking for the secret sauce on how the businesses keep their lights on.
Exactly.
And if it's an FTC investigation and not a law enforcement investigation, it means that the results will eventually find their way into the Library of Congress, which would mean that the way that the secret sauce behind these businesses will be public record. That is terrifying. As people who live and work in the tech space, the idea of the thing that makes our business work being public information, it's the reason why I don't believe in software patents 99% of the time, because you're just telling the public how your thing works.
Right.
It's not a great idea most of the time. And I feel the same way here. It's the reason why things like the Google algorithm or the base bit of the Google algorithm aren't patented, not just because it's updated 417 times a year, which is an honest to God number from 2019. I think it was 417, which is more than once a day. If you believe you're an SEO expert, you're wrong. There's absolutely no way to be when the algorithm changes more than once a day. Anyway,
but Scott, and I know that with Google, they know about you. The average consumer, in a way, in the average consumer, in a way, I don't believe the government should know our business, but partly I agree with you 100% that they want to know how they make their money, basically. But they want to know like how. The only thing I kind of agree with this is that how they're getting their data. I know how they're getting their data. You know how, but I think there's a lot of people in our audience, and there's a lot of people that we come in passing. You know, my wife, for example, doesn't only check, has an Android phone, doesn't use a Google account, but she doesn't know anything that she goes on, like example, cookies and little other things like that. A lot of people don't realize that when you type in any information in or getting a query back, a Google search and anything like that, it's knowing exactly what you're doing.
Yeah. And it's building a profile on you of varying degrees. But so Commissioner Phillips is the one dissenting vote on this.
Right.
And I think his statement kind of sums up what I'm thinking. He basically says, I agree with the stated goal of the inquiry. However, they've asked for way too much stuff that does not apply to what they're investigating.
Right.
And so he voted against it, not because he thinks that what Google and Facebook are doing. I'm going to call out those two because, honest to God, those are the two they're worried about.
Right.
Everybody else was asked simply to look like they're not going after the two companies that they are. So Google and Facebook in particular, they want to know certain information, but as Commissioner Phillips says, we've asked for way too much information. I agree with what we're trying to do. This isn't going to do it. And that's my thing. As you were reading the things that they were asking for, I'm like, well, that's not relevant to what we're doing. I get it. The Federal Trade Commission is worried in particular about how I'm going to knock Facebook out for a second. They're worried in particular about how the data tracking and the ad targeting affects kids under 13.
Right.
That's what this is about. I can all but guarantee it because there are 3 separate active suits still against Google and YouTube on that topic. But the idea of asking to see essentially the algorithm on how ads are shown. No, that should absolutely be challenged in a court because there's no way the FTC has the authority to ask for that.
Right. No, I agree with you 100%. I agree wholeheartedly. I just think that they're asking. That's where I think that they're going way too far in this. Yeah. Way too far.
And if they want, if an investigation into those practices is required, get the FBI involved, because then it's a law enforcement matter, and that means that the actual research remains private as opposed to becoming part of the public record.
Right.
Which is a very different thing.
Well, again, I think that they're really concerned about, I think they're really, I think what's going to happen is when they go to analyze all this stuff, I think that what they're going to do is they're going to have another Congress. They're going to probably have another committee with, like they had this past year with Facebook and Google. They had Facebook out there. They had Twitter with Jack Dorsey, who scares the living crap out of me. and they're basically going to go, and that's what really bothers me with how Congress operates. I don't care what side you're on, Republican or Democrat or indifferent, but they have to put Congress, when these companies, they put in a spin in, it's so politically driven. And it's like the government is for we the people, by the people. That's why I think that this is exactly the reason why, part of it, I don't think we should know what's going on with our data. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. But if it's for other means, there's no need, period. There's no need for it.
Yeah.
And it wastes millions of dollars of taxpayer money for it.
For sure. Yeah. I have tons of problems with this, all while 100% supporting the concept. I 100% agree that somebody needs to know, in particular, YouTube and TikTok, because both of those companies have active lawsuits about youth protection. Somebody needs to know how and why the data for those two companies is collected and used. I think that's important. I do not believe that it is the Federal Trade Commission, because it is not a stock and a stock or a business thing. It's a whether or not they violated the law thing, and that's the FBI.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
This is 95% about YouTube, 3% about Facebook, and 2% about TikTok, and everybody else was included just because here's the thing. They went after Apple, who Facebook is going after, because Apple required Facebook to disclose the data that they're collecting. And Facebook is furious. And it went into effect yesterday, I think. And Facebook is furious. And so, while Apple themselves misbehave with data, when it comes to others collecting data, because Apple has that we're not part of the rules, they apply to you and not to us. They're one of those companies. They do weird things with data, but like they've been a champion of making other people admit to what they're doing with data. So weird.
Yep.
Including Apple in that group is.
Yeah, that's I saw that. That's an ongoing battle, and with this going on, this is going to be. I guarantee this could be another committee. So we're gonna.
And here's the thing: when it gets to Congress, all of that's a stage show, because none of those people understand what they're saying. No,
you're right.
Nobody in the room and I don't remember her name, but the I think she's Hawaiian, maybe, or of Asian descent. Honest to God, I'm not even sure if she speaks English, because she doesn't ever understand what's happening in that room.
I know what you're talking about. It's I can't remember her name. I'll probably think about it later. I know what you're talking about, and I think Todd has kind of chastised her on several occasions.
It's not even so much chastised so much as if you watch her, you're like, I think you're in the wrong room. I think you're supposed to be in the gallery. You're a visitor, right? There's no way somebody elected you, because the things you're saying are not relevant to the conversation.
No, he's chastised her about that on more than one occasion. And he said, I'm so glad I'm not in Hawaii anymore.
Oh, so she is from Hawaii. See, it was a guess.
Yeah,
a guess. See, it was totally racial profiling, and I was right, because you can look at her and she looks like she's of native Hawaiian descent.
Yeah, I believe that's her. I think she's from Hawaii. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that Todd has chastised her on more than one occasion about her and the government.
Maisie Hirono is her name.
Okay.
Yeah. She's definitely the one I was thinking of.
Yep.
Well, a lot of times she never seems to know what room she's in. And that's the thing. Like, when it comes to these important tech conversations, everybody sounds like she always sounds. Everybody sounds like they've wandered into the room a little drunk, and they don't know what panel they're at. They're like, I think you're the guy from Facebook, so I'm going to say a couple of tech words,
right,
and then talk about whatever weird thing is on my mind for the day.
There was one.
So weird.
There was one. I can't remember if it was a congressman or a senator, and it was where he was at. Zuckerberg was at. It wasn't this year. It was last year, I think.
Mhm.
And he mentioned, this blew up on Twitter, and he said something along the lines where he said, "If my phone is shut off, does Facebook know it?" Or something to that effect. And Zuckerberg looked at it inquisitively, had his head cocked to the side, and I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said that something about, no, Facebook doesn't track you if it's turned off, or some weird thing. And they're asking, it's like, and again, this is taxpayer money, and we have it's like, explain things, like break things down so people can understand it. But again, it goes back to what I said before. It's like, this is taxpayer money that's going into these committees.
And in this case, the conversation that would be had is going to involve advanced mathematics, because that's what algorithms are. They're all about advanced mathematics. We're talking, we're getting to the point where we're talking quantum mathematics. It's going to be big data and Hadoop processes, which I know everybody who's listening right now, your eyes just glazed over because you don't know what that means, and neither do these people. Because if this were 25 years ago, most of them were lawyers. Today,
right?
Honest to God, the most famous person in the house who would be the one overseeing this was a bartender before becoming. We're not dealing with 25, 30, 50 years ago where the House and the Senate might have been the best and brightest. It's not what we're dealing with today. We're getting people who have to ask their grandkids to program their VCR because they still have a VCR.
Yep.
And they're going to oversee a conversation with YouTube about advanced mathematics and algorithmic AI. Nope.
I guarantee you. I guarantee you, it's not going to be it. They're not going to discuss that. They're going to, again, I think personally, we're going to keep an eye on this because I would love to see what happens.
It's going to be a show. It's going to be a stage show.
It's
going to have nothing to do with anything.
And
because it always becomes that.
Yep. And it's how it leans to the left or leans to the right. Again, I'm not, by no means, we're not going to the political rabbit hole or anything like that. But honestly, I think that, again, it has to be like, they think that one side is going to say this way, one side's going to say the other. I guarantee that's what's going to happen. It's going to be politically biased, and they're not going to get to the root cause of it, and they're not going to answer basic questions on certain things that matter most to people. And
because they're not going to know. Because they're not going to know the questions to ask. That's the thing. Yeah, this is the same group of people that asked Amy Coney Barrett whether she had ever sexually assaulted someone.
Right. Right.
That's why I always feel like these people are in the wrong room. Like they're supposed to be in the gallery watching, and they somehow found a seat down at the bottom. And you're like, I don't think you know the questions to ask, because, personally, I mostly like Amy, but there were questions to ask, and nobody asked them. But we did ask. Interestingly, it was her again. We did ask whether she had ever sexually assaulted someone. So, if that's what's happening on a simple subject of, is a person a good person? Will they carry out the Constitution? And it goes bonkers like that. We're never going to get the right questions asked on something as complicated as high-end mathematics, algorithmic AI. Right. This is stuff that probably less than 1% of the population on the planet could have a conversation on. And these are not the people to do it.
Well, I think, for all of our listeners and viewers watching, definitely, if you want to know, reach out to your congressman, reach out to your senator. You can do a search for it, on your government website. in my state in New Jersey, or in Scott, in Florida, definitely reach out to your senator and congressman if you're concerned about about certain things like this.
Your House rep is probably better to reach out to, because they're more local and they're more likely to be the people overseeing this.
Right. Definitely reach out. Yeah, definitely reach out and ask if you're concerned about your privacy or your data, which we'll talk about in a second. Again,
oh, good.
With Amazon, but in a funny way, I guess. But yeah.
Are we talking about the armband?
No.
Oh.
No, not the armband. But yeah, definitely reach out and just ask. It couldn't hurt. It's you're that person, you're that constituent, so definitely reach out. All right. Speaking of reaching out, I guess, Amazon has opened a custom clothing store, which is allowing all users in the U.S. to buy T-shirts that conform to the measurements and specifications. It's called Made for You. It requires you to submit details about your weight, height, and body type, along with 2 photos of yourself through Amazon's app or website. There are 8 colors to choose from, and you can pick how long you like the T-shirt and sleeves to be. You have the choice between two cotton-based fabrics, and you can decide what fit you like the shirt to have. Whether the T-shirt has a crew or V-neck is also up to you, and while Amazon can print your name on a label. Once you have decided all that, you can see how your custom shirt looks on a virtual version of yourself and make adjustments before placing your order. The shirts cost $25 each. Now, there might be some privacy concerns regarding the custom T-shirt service that you have to submit photos. Amazon confirmed to Engadget the photos are deleted after you use them to create a virtual body double. It also notes that you can update or delete your size information at any time. Me personally,
this is the least of my concerns when it comes to Amazon and data privacy.
Right.
Because the microphones in the fitness band, which is officially out this week too. Okay. That is terrifying.
Okay. I was gonna say I'm very self-conscious on by taking a picture of myself,
sure,
and with my size, and I'm 150 pounds soaking wet. I can't really take a picture of myself, and because when you go to a store, I like to go to the store and get it on my own. I usually buy clothes for myself, and I want to make sure it fits. For example, this is a funny story that I always tell people. But when I go to buy a pair of pants or jeans, I have a size 30 waist, and it takes me, this is no joke, it takes me an hour or more in any store finding a pair of a 30 waist. And I'm not going to, I feel weird, if I'm going to, and there's no way in this garage window I'm going to spend $25 for a T-shirt on Amazon. Hard pass.
Yeah.
I just cannot see this is a useful thing where a lot of people prefer go into a store, do browsing, see what the right color is. It's kind of hard to be visual on a site when you don't know if the color's right for you and things of that nature. So,
yeah, it's definitely not a service that's made for everybody. But I understand it. And I also understand that this is a prototype. It's not what they've said, but this is clearly a prototype, because the thing they want to get into for sure is custom tailored button downs. But this is cheaper.
Right.
This is a cheaper prototype for them. But if they don't offer this service for dress shirts in the next 12 months, I'll be shocked.
Yeah.
Because that's what this is for. Okay. Almost guaranteed. Yeah. And this is a technology prototype to make sure that they can custom make the right fit, the right everything for everybody's body type before they get into remote tailored dress shirts.
Well,
that's where the money is. That's where the money is. If they can do remote tailoring of dress shirts, whoop, they've got all of the executives for the Fortune 500s.
No.
And that's enough to keep the division open.
Okay. Well, again, I can't even do dress shirts because I'm not. I can't.
I am fascinated by this, and I might just have to try it.
Okay.
Just because it's one of those things where you're like, this is just too weird.
Yep.
That I kind of feel like I need to go through it once just to be able to write about it because it's so weird.
And that's why I'm not doing it. It's weird. I mean, because of Amazon, I mean, again, it goes back to what I said, you know, the app Google knows you and what you search and everything. Amazon, I have an Amazon account. I use it religiously. In fact, I bought several Christmas presents. I'm not going to say what it is because my wife watches our podcast. So I'm not telling her. So I'm not blurting anything out. I will talk to Scott off the air.
Obviously, you don't have a shared Amazon account.
No, we do not.
because I had to buy a Christmas present for one of our staff members because their family shares an account.
Oh, gee.
It was the best way for others to not find out what they bought.
Exactly. So all the Christmas shopping that I do on Amazon, I buy for my wife, my daughter, my mom, and a few others. And, you know, and I also, when I finish up my Christmas shopping, you know, I added Scott to my list because, but again, I'm still chuckling about that. So I can't. It's weird. I just can't. I mean, I would prefer like going to a store. You know, actually, if I want to buy clothes, and it's very rare. You know, I have a good. You know, I do have clothes and everything. I'm not like, you know, with tars and feathers or anything like that. But
like in the old movies,
right?
With suspenders.
Right.
Yeah.
And the barrel.
Yeah. Most of the time they were technically casks. They weren't actually barrels, but yes,
okay, fair enough. Fair enough. That's right. You're right. But I just can't see myself giving Amazon, irregardless if they have my data or not, you know, or it's going to be stored in the cloud or it's going to be deleted. I'm sorry. I can't do it. It's just, I can't. So my lanky body.
I'm going to create a special account for it. I'm not going to do it on my real one. I will use, here's my plan. I've already worked this out in my head. So okay. I'm going to use the 30-day free trial of Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to use privacy to create a temporary debit card that I will use so I can go create a new account just for this and then wash it away.
There you go. There you go.
I have already got a plan on how to make this work.
All right. All right. I would love to know what happened because that should be interesting.
Yeah, I can't wait. This is going to be weird.
Mm-hmm. And that should have been the show title. Okay. All right. Other news this week. Now we all know that Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony are having a battle amongst each other.
Well, now Microsoft and Sony, Nintendo tends to stay
in the background
out of the line of fire.
Right. Well, they have outlined a set of common principles for safer gaming, particularly for younger players. It's not radical, but it made it clear that they won't tolerate toxic players and for other forms of abuse. To start, they promised
a change of policy for Xbox Live, isn't it?
Right. To start, the three promised to offer prevention tools like customization, easy to use safety tools, codes of conduct, and systems that prevent abuse before it happens. The companies also vow to work with government, law enforcement, and industry partners such as rating boards to foster safety. They believe hate, harassment, and exploitation of young players have, quote, no place in gaming. They say they will make it easy to report abuse based on clearly outlined rules and say that they'll respond to, quote, all lawful requests from law enforcement.
So this is a thing that's happening across the entire gaming industry right now, because as we talked about on F5 Live this past week, the gaming industry is officially growing up. It has gone from, a fringe part of society, especially streaming. It's gone from a fringe part of society to something that's being watched. People are paying attention. They weren't 6 months ago. They are now. It's why RIA has started filing DMCA takedowns on Twitch, which they did not 6 weeks ago. The industry is growing up. And so we're even seeing over at Twitch, official policies and stuff go into place because they're being watched. The days of 8-year-olds shouting racial slurs over Xbox Live are definitely behind us, because companies like Microsoft can't allow things like that to happen under their name anymore. It's an interesting time for this industry. Everybody's trying to figure out how to where they belong, right? How active do we want to be involved in it? Twitch wants to be super active. Microsoft wants to be mostly passive. But they want to figure out where they belong in that industry and how they can create a consistent experience. I don't necessarily think a consistent experience from a business perspective is a great idea, because, there's a reason why weird behavior existed on Xbox and less so on PlayStation. And that's mostly because different standards. And so people who didn't want to be held down drifted over to Xbox, and people who knew that there were no rules over there went PlayStation. I think from a business perspective, that makes sense. But from an industry that's under scrutiny, I think the idea of working together to come up with consistent rules is smart, and it's going to be an important part of streaming. Because that stuff carries over. If the rules on PlayStation and Xbox are different, and you're streaming to Twitch where the rules are different, what can and can't you say? Can you get in trouble on Twitch for something somebody else said on Xbox Live? Where does all of that stuff fall? So, industries regulating themselves works. We know that it works. The government doesn't have to be involved in it.
Exactly. Right.
The ratings on video games, on movies, on TV are all industry created concepts. They're all self-regulated, and they are consistent, and they work. And so this is this industry saying, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to create an industry standard that we can all agree to, so that, cross-play, if let's say you're playing Call of Duty, you're a PlayStation player on Call of Duty, streaming your game to Twitch, and you're cross-playing with somebody on Xbox Live, and they say something that's okay on Xbox Live, but is not on PSN or Twitch.
Well, that would be in a sense not bullying but trolling, wouldn't it?
If they're doing it on purpose, if they're doing it to get you in trouble, for sure. But if they're just behaving the way they always have on Xbox Live, because there's different sets of rules,
right?
That's just them being them. They don't even know you're on a PlayStation. They don't care. They don't know that you're streaming. They don't care. They're just being them in an environment that exists, and that environment just happens to be different from the places where you are.
Right.
You can get in trouble from Twitch for something somebody said on Xbox, which is okay.
Okay.
Those kinds of things are what the industry is trying to figure out. How do we deal with? How do we deal with music?
Right.
So that people don't get in trouble on Twitch for not doing anything wrong. Because we've got to talk about the idiots in Congress again, we've got somebody who has tried to put an amendment on a funding bill to make DMCA strikes a criminal offense. So you could do jail time for accidentally using copyrighted music from within a game on Twitch.
Really?
What?
I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
Isn't that insane?
That's insane. That's insane.
So, so this is the industry trying to get itself into a place where idiots like that don't have a chance to do stupid things like that.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And I think a lot of recently, there's been a lot of not as much as years ago, where I know that there's been people that have been bullied incessantly online, be it on Twitter or Facebook. And so in a way, so I agree that this is good, where in fact I was going to put up in a lineup, but about trolling, and and it's like, I don't, when you're on any type of social media or even gaming, they're there to play a game and get immersed into that world, and I'm all in for that. But when it comes to really being hurtful speech, or and any of that shouldn't be. I agree that this is how they're doing this is very good to do.
Here's the thing with that: people suck. It's as simple as that. And no amount of rules is going to stop online abuse. That's going to happen because the internet is largely anonymous. Sure, you and I are not anonymous online. We are very connected with who we are. Yep. If you're watching, literally this and this are directly connected. If I say something here, how to respond to me, and
you'll see mine go there, my finger.
And so, you and I aren't anonymous. We have chosen not to be, but there are lots of people who choose to be anonymous.
Right.
I literally game either under my personal name or under the company name. Half the time it's under the company name because I'm doing, game reviews and stuff. So most of my life has lived under the company name. I'm not anonymous at all.
Yeah.
And so I'm very aware of the things that I say online, because I know that it's connected right back to me and my company and this show and all these other things. But there's people, there's as Steven Crowder likes to say, there's blue eggs on Twitter, right? That come at that have 17 tweets and all of them are mean towards a woman.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's just the nature of the internet.
Right.
And no amount of rules is going to stop that, because as soon as, you're in trouble, great, I'll go create another one.
Right. And for me, I'm like you said, I'm my Twitter name, you see on my bottom of the screen there, watching. I follow a lot of people on Twitter. I follow Scott. I follow a lot of people on Twitter. But when I see like people bashing someone that I follow, I'm like, look, I'm going to call them out on it, and if I retweet it, and I'm like, look, tell this person what's for, and if there's a comment that I would make, good or bad, but also in the same token, I'm not going to respond to another person and say you suck or or die, what have you. I'm going to be respectful,
right?
But
see, the thing is, I wouldn't do that in person either, but there are people who would.
Oh, absolutely.
There are people who would say that right to your face, and they're the people who are going to say it online too. And then there's a group of people who are going to say it only online because of that veil of anonymity, the at random letters. And I understand I'm not exactly one to talk because my company name was generated on a random letter generator. I get it, but honestly, I'll tell the story on that someday. I haven't told it on our show in a long time. but it's very connected with me now. But at 12 random letters and a blue egg, because that's the default profile picture, and then they go out on a crazy spree. And as soon as they get banned, no problem. Yep. Random letter generator, sign up again, because I can create an Outlook or a Gmail account real quick with that same random letters, then create a Twitter account and start harassing again. And you can do that with a lot of these services. So, getting rid of, there's been a lot of talk about the way to deal with online harassment. One was verification, and there's no way that'll ever work either. Part of what we need to do is we need to go back to the old days of teaching people to have thicker skin.
Absolutely.
That is a cultural mistake to have dropped that. Especially now that people get to be anonymous, and now since none of us get to go outside, our whole lives are lived through anonymity. But anyway, that's only tangentially related to the topic. There are ways to cut down on the overt problems. I think the idea that Twitch has officially banned the word simp and virgin is insane. I think that's going way too far. That came out this week. What? Wow. Using the word virgin on Twitch is officially a problem. But I think that there are places like what these three are doing, because these three are looking at all the conditions and going, okay, Microsoft says, well, we already tried to prevent using the word gay, and we banned a guy who was literally at Fort Gay in the military. Oops. So that's not good. We've all had our mistakes. How can we put our mistakes together and find a thing that works? So define some common ground. Yeah, and an industry standard that we all know that in the gaming world we can live within. And I think that's an important thing, because if you're playing on Xbox today and PlayStation tomorrow and PC on Sunday, what are the rules? What is the culture here? We don't know. And so, finding a common gaming culture, I think is a good first step. Yep. Indeed. All right. Other news this week: Google's latest Chromecast with Google TV is filling in. Google TV. There you go. It's filling in one of its biggest missing apps, where they're announcing it'll be soon offering an Apple TV app in early 2021. The Apple TV app will function. Scott's loving this. The Apple TV app will function similarly to other versions of Apple service on other devices, allowing subscribers to watch Apple TV Plus original shows, movies and documentaries, including Ted Lasso and other shows that are not Ted Lasso, which are therefore less good. This is oh, that's funny.
Those Apple TV originals will be integrated into Google TV's content aggregation system to allowing the software, allowing the software to recommend them based on their interests. Additionally, the Apple TV app will give Chromecast users access to their purchased iTunes libraries of TV shows and movies, as well as any Apple TV channels to which you're already subscribed. Google hasn't given an exact date for the Apple TV app, but it promises the app should launch in early 2021. First on Chromecast with Google TV, then followed by other Android TV OS powered devices. So, because that's the differentiator, right? Even the Chromecast Google TV is Android TV based, but Google TV is a UI on top of it, which is not what it used to be. So, and thank you, Google, for helping me explain the weirdness that is that rebrand. And I'm putting this out, drinks on me if I'm wrong. They're going to announce this at CES when they're going to announce it, when they announce the date for it. They'll show. Oh yeah. And they'll show it off in action. Yep. So I'm going to, although Google doesn't have a press conference at CES, so they'd have to do it in their virtual storefront. Okay. Show floor booth. Right. So I'm going to keep an eye on it. I mean, we're going to keep an eye on CES. So this is one of the things I'm going to keep an eye on. So if I'm wrong, drinks on me. It's definitely a good. It's definitely a good move. Yeah, it'll cancel out the other one that you already owe. Yeah,
for
exactly.
Prime Day.
For Prime Day, right.
So this is important for a couple of reasons. There are a couple of high-profile streaming platforms, and by that I mean smart platforms that offer streaming. They are obviously Roku, which we discussed earlier, already has Apple TV. It's the reason why I purchased one. The second is Android TV / Chromecast. Then you have your gaming platforms, Xbox and PlayStation. Neither of them have Apple TV. So this is Roku and Google trying to justify their existence in a time when almost everything is available on the gaming consoles because they're easy to develop for, and Microsoft and Sony don't care. I'm going to tell you, I've published to the Xbox. They don't care. They're not worried about nothing. So it's real easy to publish to them. And with that, Google is trying to justify their existence. And having Apple TV is a big step forward for that. Now, granted, when Apple releases their triad of apps for Windows, that will be Windows Store. That's not what it's called anymore. UWP. That'll be UWP apps, which they announced like a year ago. That will almost certainly be available on the Xbox One and the Xbox Series. But for now, it sets these two above the consoles, which is important.
Right.
And that's why the integrated UI, that's why Google TV exists, is, again, trying to set themselves apart from other platforms that have a thing.
And speaking of other tangents, with Apple TV, they're airing the Charlie Brown's Christmas special on Apple TV.
Which, if I remember correctly, just like the Thanksgiving special, you don't have to be a subscriber to take advantage of.
Right. But they also, from what I understand, they're airing it on PBS. But I'm like,
yes. Which they did not for Thanksgiving.
Right. Yeah, they did that for. Yeah, a lot of people, including my wife, who enjoys it as much as I do, and she said that they should stick a warm up apples.
But the good news is that you didn't have to be an Apple TV subscriber. You didn't have to purchase it. It was available for free. And now with this, if they try and pull this crap again in the future, it won't just be Apple and Roku devices. It'll also include Google devices. So this will be, I think the number works out to like 88% of over-the-top streaming would be covered by those three. So most people, you just won't have it on your Xbox or PlayStation. But that's
exactly
a whole different beast.
That's a whole different beast, right? For now,
which you might if we see those UWP apps finally come, Apple.
You're on it like Donkey Kong. All right. Speaking of streaming services, let's add another one to the list. BB Studios on Wednesday unveiled plans for BB Select. It's a new subscription streaming channel. So that I'm top real fast. It'll launch in the US and Canada in early 2021. BB Select will be available as a subscription channel on Amazon Prime Video and the Apple TV app. There you go.
Which puts it everywhere. Between those two, you're everywhere.
Yep. And will specialize in news programming around culture, politics, and ideas. At launch, shows will include some never before streamed in North America, according to its website, including Louis Theroux BBC documentary Selling Sex. And I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. and surviving America's most hated family.
I have actually watched it. It is fascinating.
Surviving America's
Selling Sex. Fascinating.
Okay, you got to tell me about that a little later. Is it what I think it is, or is it?
Maybe.
All right, tell me later. Channel 4's Grayson Perry, Big American Road Trip, and exclusives like Mary Beard's Shock of the Nude. Wow, people in Britain got some really cool stuff. And Adam Curtis's All Watched Over by Machines of Loving Grace. It will join. I'm still getting haunted by this, but anyway, it'll join other BBC Studios international subscription channels, including BBC Earth and BBC Brit. BBC Select will also be among a growing number of streaming services that launched in the last 2 years, including Disney Plus, HBO Max, and NBC's Peacock. BBC Select's price, launch date, and full lineup has yet to be announced.
I was so disappointed. I heard BBC Studios, BBC Select, and Channel 4, and I'm like, oh my gosh, is this like an official BBC BritBox? No. Sad. Because I would love an official way to watch things like 8 out of 10 Cats. These things that are very British and very unavailable in North America, except for maybe 1 or 2 seasons. So I was very disappointed. I was hoping that this was going to be like a North American version of 4 for All. No. Which is Channel 4's streaming service in the UK. It's called 4 for All.
Okay.
Dumb name, but whatever.
Yeah, and I still can't get over. Well, again, I'm gonna find out that later. Okay, all right. All right. Over the what's streaming, and I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. All right, over on Disney Plus, speaking of, all the movies and TV shows coming in January 2021. On January 1st, you have 700 Sharks, Dr. Seuss's Horton Hears a Who.
More shark stuff.
January 8th, a lot of Star Wars, Force of Destiny, volumes 1 through 4. January 15th.
Dr. Dolittle 3. I didn't even know they made a third one.
Yeah, it's bad.
But honestly, here's the only thing that matters. WandaVision.
Oh, okay.
That's the only thing that matters that day is WandaVision. Everything else is a bonus. Nothing else matters in January for Disney Plus except WandaVision. That is enough for me. That's the thing that's gonna finally get me on the Disney Plus bandwagon.
What's WandaVision? Is that by Wanda Sykes?
No, it's Marvel. It's
oh, okay. Sorry.
It's Wanda and Vision. It's Scarlet Witch and Vision in a sitcom, essentially.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It looks so weird. I can't wait. I've watched every second of everything that I can possibly watch on it so far, and it looks so weird, and I cannot wait.
Okay, I'm gonna have to get back to my Marvel lore. I missed it so much. Okay, all right. Over on I'll have this on. We will have this in the show notes. Over on lifehacker.com. What's coming to Hulu in January 2021? January 1st, 2 years Rockin' Eve, Ryan Seacrest. I didn't think that's going to be, well, it's part of ABC, so yeah.
They'll be socially distanced, and nobody will be in Times Square.
No.
I wonder what it's going to look like. They are expecting, the industry is expecting so little out of New Year's this year that T-Mobile, as part of T-Mobile Tuesday, is giving they scheduled Justin Bieber's first live concert in years for New Year's Eve, because they're like, there's no way anything that ABC, NBC, and Fox are going to do is going to be interesting. So how about we just do our own thing? T-Mobile's like, let's just do our own thing. It's fine.
My wife and I went to Times Square New Year's Eve many years ago, and she'd never been there. I've never been there. So we decided to go there, and it was like close to 500,000 plus people, and we're all in these barricades. we're in Penn, excuse me. So we're having a good time. I'm having a good, my wife's having a good time. Next thing I know, someone pops off a bottle of champagne, sprays all over the people. My wife and I were we're on this one edge of the pen or this fence. I felt a sharp bang on the top of my head, and someone threw the champagne bottle. It cracked over my head, and what happened was I bent down. Someone asked me, "Did I get hit?" My wife said yes. So, and my wife's taking me arm in arm with a cop to an ambulance, and by the end of the night, I got 5 stitches in my head. So, that was last time.
So New Year's at Times Square is not a Kirk experience.
No, it's not.
Okay.
So we have never been to Times Square ever again.
Night at the Roxbury. Night at the Roxbury.
Nice. Yep. Great movie. Funny movie.
The Austin Powers movies.
I'm sold on that.
Okay.
Blade Runner.
Okay. Lots
Boogie
of things
Nights.
with the word blood.
Case, well, good segue. Conehead's great movie.
That's already on Hulu. I literally watched it like 2 weeks ago.
I guess they're adding it on for January. I guess. Let's see what else. Donnie Brasco, good movie.
Face Off,
good movie.
Footloose.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Lucas talk. Holy hell!
Oh. I'm sorry. I saw Ladies Man. Okay, so for those who are listeners or viewers of this show and not of F5 Live, or maybe have not been following along for many, 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 many years, my brother does the world's best impression of the Ladies Man. And about once a month, he would do our opening as the Ladies Man. I'm talking 8, 9, 10 years ago. This is in our early days, but he used to do the opening of the show as the Ladies Man. I cannot wait to tell him that the movie's going to be on Hulu. Lost in Space 1998 is on Hulu right now. They recommended it to me this morning. Because I remember thinking, interesting. I wonder why Hulu has the movie and Netflix has the rights to the show. And then I saw Hulu had Saved by the Bell, the college years, Saved by the Bell, Wedding in Vegas or wherever it was. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Because Peacock just brought Saved by the Bell back, but they don't have any of the original shows. Weird. That's the only reason that holds in my head, because 2 in a row I saw and thought that was interesting. Anyway, Star Trek Beyond. Okay. That is the oddball of the Star Trek family that always seems to be missing from streaming services. So huzzah. The Truman Show. All right, that's always a weird watch.
Yeah, that was a weird movie. When I saw it, I didn't really. It was it was odd. All right.
Oh my God, that's just for January 1st.
Yep.
On January 4th, the season 1 finale of Call Me Kat will premiere. The show hasn't hit television yet. It hasn't started yet. Are they going to get through the entire season on Fox in like an hour?
I never even know there was. I didn't even know there.
It's the new show from Blossom.
Oh, okay.
Mayim Bialik. I couldn't come up with her name.
You're right. You're right. I think I saw the trailer for it.
Okay, so in fairness, TV Time only has 2 episodes listed. So it is definitely possible. They're going to be on in 16 days and 20 days. It's totally possible that there are only 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Okay, well, let's move on.
Gordon Ramsay's American Road Trip. I am very excited about that one.
And he's going to be in Hell's Kitchens the next day, and I can't wait.
Yeah, from the restaurant.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Instead of from the studio, this one's going to be from the restaurant.
Yep. Which I'm gonna have to live vicariously.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah,
because they had said that they wanted to do some episodes in future seasons from the restaurant, but I guess they decided, well, while the restaurant shut down, let's just make a big deal about it.
Mm-hmm. I would,
which is pretty clever. It's a clever use of the space, because the restaurant was definitely designed to be able to put cameras in. Like when you're in there, you can definitely tell that they designed it for filmability, which they did not for steak, which is why the shots when they're at Gordon Ramsay's steak are always weird. This was designed to be able to do episodes from. So I can't wait to see how they pull it together.
I do too. All right.
After that, we're starting to get into like things that are on TV,
right?
and when they're coming to Hulu, which is usually the day after.
Yep.
So,
okay. Moving right along. What's new on Netflix in January 2021? This is coming soon.
Cobra Kai,
which I haven't seen yet.
It's so interesting to me because when it was a YouTube original for season 1, it did so poorly. And as soon as it hit Netflix, people thought it was a different show. I don't know, because it did so well. YouTube canceled it after season 1 because it did so poorly as a YouTube Red series. And I guess Netflix picked it up and people were like, oh, this is a good show. Yeah.
They got 3 seasons out of it. So, all right. January 1st, Dream Home Makeover season 2. Bonnie and Clyde. Cloudy with Chance of Meatballs. My daughter loves that movie. Pretty good. Goodfellas, good movie. Mystic Pizza. Wow,
I just restarted 30 Rock as some of my background noise, and Mystic Pizza is the musical that Jenna does over the summer one summer. Sex in the City 1 and 2. Super Bad.
That was a great movie. That was
so dumb, and I love it.
Yep.
History of Swear Words. I wonder if that is with Susie Dent, because Susie Dent has a book, I think, called The History of Swear Words. So I wonder if that's Susie Dent.
I think I saw a trailer on. I think it's not a documentary. I think it's something. It was something. I saw a trailer for it. I have to. I don't know if that is or not. I have to look and see.
That makes me sad. I would love to see Susie Dent talk about the history of swear words.
I don't think her name was mentioned. I think it was something. I think it was a guy hosting it, and it was a documentary or something. I think.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah.
They don't have it on the search yet. Okay.
All right. And the rest of these movies are...
yeah. They definitely...
Really.
Sorry, does that say Carmen Sandiego?
Yeah.
Season 4?
Mm-hmm. speaking about a reboot.
Oh, it is animated. That is
Mhm.
weird.
Mhm.
It's not a game show? That's so
No, it's not.
it was a game show.
It was a game show. Yeah, you're right. Yep. I watched it. It was pretty good. And I have the theme song in my in my head now. Thanks.
Fun fact. My family and I went to a concert. Don't remember who the concert was, but the opening act was Rockapella. That's why I don't remember who the concert was. I was so excited for the opening act, I forgot who the actual headliner was. I have no idea. I remember being so excited that I got to see Rockapella live. Oh,
memories.
Talk about a generational excitement.
Yep. Yep. All right. So the rest of these movies are we're digging down the barrel.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. Netflix does not so much worry about later in the month in January.
Exactly. All right. And finally this week and the last episode of the year, decided, there's always been food in the final segment. I wouldn't call this food. I guess you can call it food. But there was Pepsi decided to want to make something unique, and they wanted to asking folks if they want to purchase chocolate marshmallow Pepsi, and they announced on Thursday on Thursday, where they said a tweet says, "What's sweeter than saying bye to the worst year ever?" Well, the worst year ever is right. Pepsi Coca-Cola, the latest concept from the Pepsi Test Kitchen. Want to try and get your hands on it? 2021 retweets, and we'll make a batch. Well, the Twitterverse answered and delivered. And as of this recording at 9:42 p.m., there is 5,000. Let me go back and check here. I just saw a second ago. Okay. 4,900 retweets. And this was on December 17th, which was yesterday. Yep, I'm right. And Pepsi responded in a tweet, "Well, it looks like you're all pretty thirsty for some Pepsi Coca-Cola. Stay tuned for details coming in 2021.
So 2 things. One, that name is hilarious.
Yep. Coca-Cola.
I'm so proud of them for that. And 2, what? Obviously, I'm going to have some. Because again, what?
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to retweet this right now.
So Nicolas Cage is the host.
That's it.
History of.
Yep.
It will have Jim Jeffries, Nick Offerman, Sarah Silverman. And there are linguistic experts to provide some much needed balance. And I assume Susie Dent will be in that group because she wrote the book that probably inspired it. So it'd be weird to not. Susie Dent, for those who don't know, is one of the editors of the Oxford English Dictionary. And she is a very fascinating individual. She does an almost daily segment on BBC4 about the history of words.
Oh, okay.
She's a fascinating person. She will put you to sleep if you're not excited about linguistics. But anyway, fascinating.
Okay. Well, I learned something new.
Nicolas Cage swearing. How can you not love it?
There you go. There we go. All right, very good. All right, that is the tech news for this week for Friday, December 18, 2020. Thank you so much for tuning in for this week's episode. Show notes from this episode can be found at gncweekly.com. Also, be sure to check out the latest tech news and commentary from geeknewscentral.com. And be sure to tune in Mondays and Thursday evenings at geeknewscentral.com/live for the Geek News Central podcast. There's a programming note. There will be a podcast December 21st. No podcast on December 24th, as it's Christmas Eve. And be sure to watch and tune in to gncweekly.com/live Friday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We are taking off for the holidays. We'll be back January 8th, 2021. So before that, please be sure to like and subscribe to the GNC WIR channel on YouTube. Also, make sure to click on the bell and select always for notifications so you will not miss next episode. Or be sure to subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast app. And be sure to tune in with Scott and Elvin Pelch on F5 Refreshing Technology Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. See, got that right? At f5live.tv/join us. You have comments on this week's episode? I'm sorry.
I was going to say, don't just like and subscribe. We appreciate that. That's a big thing. But also, since we're going to be off for a little while, share our stuff. It doesn't cost you anything. Because people are looking for ways to help people out this holiday. We do this not for us. We do it for our listeners and our viewers. So if you just share the video, share the link to the episode when we publish it later tonight. That's all. If you can do that, that'll help us out immensely.
Absolutely. And also, and the gncweekly.com/prepare for 2021 is up. Well, actually, as we get off the air, I'm going to get that up.
It'll be up momentarily.
Right, momentarily, right. Right, it'll be up momentarily. So if you're listening to this on audio, by the time you listen to this in your podcast feed, you'll see it up. So yeah, it's gncweekly.com/prepare for 2021. Now, as this is the last episode, I'm going to thank Todd Cochran for allowing me to have this podcast as a partner show on geeknewscentral.com. I look forward to doing this podcast each week, diving into tech news, dissecting what's going on, providing tips on what you can do for your tech, etc., making people smile for a moment or two in this crazy year we've had in 2020, because it's been a really crappy year. So if anyone gets something out of this, for me, it makes it all worthwhile. I want to thank Scott so much as well for coming onto the podcast as my co-host. So he's kind of like my yin to my yang. So Scott, thank you, sir. You're awesome. You're awesome. Lastly, I'd like to thank you all for listening to our podcast, watching the live show on Friday evenings. If you haven't already, please be sure to like and subscribe. And like Scott said, to the WR channel, please share the episode, and got a lot of great, if others can come and watch the video, subscribe to the podcast, that'll mean tremendously to us. Not to mention, thank you all to subscribing to the podcast as well. Now, 2021 is going to bring changes to podcasts. I'm hoping we're going to get a new logo on the website, hopefully some graphics, music, hopefully. So we appreciate everyone that's been on with us and still with us on the ride. And we love all the listeners and viewers to please let others know about our podcast and give a listen. I'm on Twitter. I'm at Kirk Corliss. You can see on the bottom of the screen if you're watching the video. Also, Sky's on Twitter, if you can see on the bottom of the screen. He's at TTTMABO. We want to wish you a very, 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 very Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and we hope all of you have a happy. Go ahead.
We always used to say a crazy Kwanzaa because it was alliteration.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. And we all wish you have a very happy, safe, and joyous Happy New Year. Till the next episode of GNC Week in Review, January 8th, 2021. So long.
Ciao.